I need your help. Do what I say, and we can avenge this massacre. My injured hand means I can no longer aim. But you will do it for me. Take my rifle and watch the road. Mumodak in the car is General Heinrich Amsel, architect of Stalingrad's misery. He is responsible for the cold-blooded murder of men, women, and children. Not just here, but throughout the motherland. For 3 days, I have hunted him. For 3 days, luck alone has saved his wretched life. Sniping your enemy is like hunting any other animal. Fire at the wrong moment and your chance will be forever lost. Patience. If we reveal our position to Amsel's men, this fountain will be our grave. Now, load your rifle, but hold your fire. Wait until the bombers are directly overhead. The sound of the engines will drown out your shot. Ready? Shoot now!
Blitzkrieg, meaning lightning war in German, was a military tactic employed by the Nazis during World War II. It was rooted in speed and surprise, involving a coordinated, maneuver-focused approach to quickly break through enemy lines. This tactic had a three-step process. Armored and motorized vehicles would break through the opponent's line of defense via swift, short yet powerful attacks, reliance on the element of surprise via airstrike, and the employment of ground forces to confuse the enemy. The aim was a complete annihilation of the enemy, resulting in a unilateral victory. In the Pacific, the Allies initially faced a series of setbacks following the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, the tide began to turn with victories in the Battle of the Coral Sea and the Battle of Midway in May and June 1942, respectively. These victories allowed the Allies to shift to the offensive, employing amphibious invasions and the strategy of island hopping, which involved bypassing heavily fortified islands to seize less defended locations that could support future advances. This approach enabled the Allies to advance onto two fronts, with forces under MacArthur moving through the Southwest Pacific and a campaign in the Central Pacific commencing with the invasion of Tarawa in the Gilbert Islands in November 1943. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill advocated for targeting what he termed the soft underbelly of Europe. Instead of a direct invasion of German-occupied Europe, Churchill and the British wanted to focus on Italy and the Mediterranean. This strategy led to the invasion of Sicily in July 1943, which resulted in the fall of Mussolini and the Italian surrender. The success in Sicily also influenced American strategists to support a broader campaign in Italy. Kamikaze, translating to divine wind, involved Japanese aviators deliberately undertaking suicide missions by flying their planes into enemy targets, commonly ships. The term divine wind referenced the typhoon that thwarted Mongol efforts to invade Japan in 1281. The actual deployment of kamikaze tactics began in 1944 during the Battle of Leyte Gulf. These planes were loaded with extra gasoline tanks and bombs to increase the deadliness of their crashes. Strategic bombing was a core component of the Allied air strategy, with the goal of destroying the enemy's capacity to wage war by targeting key infrastructure and industrial centers. The Allies, especially the RAF and USAAF, conducted mass bombings of military targets, industrial areas, and civilian housing to undermine the enemy's morale and war-making capabilities. The Combined Bomber Offensive (CBO) was implemented, resulting in the round-the-clock bombing of Nazi-occupied Europe. By the end of the war, the Allies had dropped massive amounts of bombs on Germany and Japan. Tactical air power was used to gain control of the battlefield, provide direct support to ground units, and attack enemy supply lines and airfields. This involved fighter planes securing air supremacy and light bombers providing support for ground missions. tactical air support proved essential for Allied ground operations, with fighter bombers offering critical assistance. The USXIX Tactical Air Command played a significant role in supporting General Patton's Third Army. The Allies also utilized air transport to move around personnel, supplies, and equipment. The Air Transport Command, ATC, was a key component of the United States Air Force during World War II, facilitating strategic airlift operations. The Allies also invested heavily in developing new aircraft technologies to gain an edge in the air war. Key advancements included the development of aircraft like the British Hawker Hurricane and submarine Spitfire, and the American P-51 Mustang and B-17 Flying Fortress. Radar technology also proved crucial for detecting and intercepting enemy aircraft. The U.S. Army Air Forces, USAAF, embraced high-altitude precision bombing aided by the Norden bombsight. The German forces relied heavily on Enigma machines to encode and decode secret messages transmitted over the radio. Invented in 1918 by Arthur Scheibers, the German Army and Navy started using Enigma machines in 1930. The Enigma machine used a typewriter keyboard to enter the text to be encrypted. Each key press sent an electric current through randomly wired rotors, which then advanced, creating a different pathway for the next letter. The Allies were able to decrypt approximately 70% of Enigma messages if they already knew 40 letters in the text. Polish cryptanalysts had already copied the German Enigma machine in the 1930s with the help of a German trader and solved its letter scrambling patterns, later sharing this knowledge with France and Britain. By the end of 1942, the Allies were reading up to 4,000 Enigma intercepts daily thanks to captured code books and skilled code breaking, which helped to counter U-boat attacks on supply convoys. Alan Turing developed mathematical models at Bletchley Park for decrypting Enigma machines, and his Turing bomb automated the decryption process, reducing the time to a few hours. The Allied cryptographers had a major impact on the outcome of the war. Several iconic handguns were used during World War II. The Colt 1911, a semi-automatic handgun firing 45 caliber rounds, was widely used by American troops due to its reliability, accuracy, and stopping power. The Luger P-08, a semi-automatic pistol with a unique toggle lock action, was the standard sidearm of the German military until 1945. The Walther P-38, designed as a replacement for the Luger P-08, was another reliable 9mm semi-automatic handgun used extensively by German troops. Rifles were also a defining characteristic of World War II. The M1 Garand, a semi-automatic rifle firing .30-06 Springfield rounds, was used extensively by American troops and known for its reliability and accuracy. The Mosin Nagant, a bolt-action rifle firing 7.62 by 54 mmR rounds, was used by the Soviet military and known for its accuracy and durability. The Karabiner 98K, a bolt-action rifle firing 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser rounds, was a standard infantry rifle for German troops. Submachine guns, SMGs, saw widespread use by various armies during World War II, proving particularly effective in close quarters combat and urban warfare. The Thompson submachine gun, firing 45 caliber rounds, was used by American troops and known for its high rate of fire and stopping power. The Sten submachine gun, firing 9mm rounds, was used by British and Commonwealth troops and known for its simplicity and low cost. The German MP40 was a simple and popular and reliable 9mm weapon used extensively by German troops, featuring a simple blowback operation and a folding stock. The significant improvements in battlefield medicine during World War II led to a 50% survival rate for the wounded and ill, a considerable increase from the 4% survival rate in World War I. By 1945, serum albumin, a more effective substitute for blood loss than plasma alone, had been developed. Surgery techniques, including the removal of dead tissue, led to fewer amputations, and penicillin and streptomycin were used on a large scale to treat bacterial infections. Air evacuation became available, and service members with combat fatigue were provided safe places for rest and recovery, enabling approximately 90% to return to duty. Navy corpsmen and Army medics provided frontline medical support to sailors, Marines, and soldiers. Each corpsman carried morphine, bandages, sulfanilamide packets, wire splints, scissors, and plasma. sulfa packets were applied to wounds for disinfection, serving as a temporary alternative to the newer antibiotic penicillin. Corpsmen were tasked with triaging the wounded, providing stabilizing treatment, and preparing them for transport to field hospitals. They also provided preventative care and treated diseases common in the Pacific, such as malaria, using atabrine tablets. The Red Ball Express played a crucial role in supplying the Allied forces as they advanced across Europe. This operation involved a massive fleet of approximately 6,000 2.5-ton General Motors cargo trucks. Between August and November 1944, these trucks transported over 400,000 tons of essential supplies, including ammunition, gasoline, medical supplies, and rations to troops in France, Belgium, and Germany. The name Red Ball originated from a railway tradition where priority cars were marked with a red dot. In the Sigrifield Line campaign, American supply lines struggled to deliver sufficient ammunition to the front lines between August and October 1944. Poor capacity and transportation issues led to shortages, and miscalculations further exacerbated the problems. The rapid Allied advance strained the logistics system, causing it to reach its breaking point by mid September 1944. To address these challenges, the Transportation Corps worked to repair and operate captured harbors, enabling the influx of essential resources. For example, after the capture of the French port of Le Havre, the 16th Corps was reassigned to operate the facility, which had been heavily damaged during the Nazi occupation. By clearing rubble and restoring key infrastructure like the Rockman Lock, the 16th Corps facilitated the unloading of 62,319 tons of ammunition and supplies in October 1944. After World War II, America and everyone else in Europe kept a big eye on each other to make sure everyone learned their lesson about starting world wars. And thankfully, everyone did. And we all lived happily ever after, and we never had to go halfway across the world to fight ever again. Oh, wait a second.